Shame You Didn't See Me by Ann Butler.
My best friend Angela has this friend. This friend is not likely to hear me recount this story, so I feel it's safe to say her name. Mel. On the face of it, Mel is a fun person. She's got lots of anecdotes, and she's very engaging. You probably know the type. Both Angela and Mel have very senior positions in banking. They earn six-figure salaries and live on Millionaires Row in their respective towns. My friend Angela is lovely, the down-to-earth type, open-minded and kind, and is loath to hear a bad word said against anyone in her friend circle, which puts me in a difficult spot. Because Mel is a proper dickhead. Yeah, I'm calling a woman a dickhead. No other word quite describes her. In her mind, I'm not enough of a high flyer. Not by her standards. Status matters to Mel, and I'm not in her bracket. I'm a jobbing analyst who rarely stays on an assignment for longer than a year. I have a low boredom threshold. And luckily, I'm in a position where I don't have to stick with a job that bores me stupid for longer than the terms of the contract I signed. I love having this freedom, and I know that loads of my friends envy this. It's done me no harm professionally. I get loads of referrals, more than I can handle, because I am very, very good at what I do. And I've earned shed loads of money doing it. A fact known only to my immediate family and closest friends like Angela. It's a fact that very few of my friends or family actually understand what I do. I'm a bit like that character Chandler in the old sitcom. The one whose friends would joke that no one has any idea what he does. That's me. My friend Angela gets what I do. We've had enough conversations over the years, and by virtue of the types of projects that she's in charge of, my professional world makes sense to her. Because I know that most people don't or won't get it, I'm offhand when I meet new people and they ask me what I do. It's too hard to explain, and it's not actually worth the bother. So when they ask, I'll say, "Oh, I work for so-and-so," and I'll name the company. Usually, they'll say, "Oh," and move on. Mel did that the first time I met her, and it was fine. But she looked at how I was dressed, no obvious designer brand names, my classic, not up-to-the-minute style. And she put that together with whatever assumptions she made about my job, and put me in a box labelled "not very clever" and worthy of only minimal respect. How do I know this? Because she would often in conversations make comments like, "Petra here," meaning me, "probably won't get this, but..." and then proceed to explain something that I didn't need to have explained to me. Angela overheard this once and interrupted her, shutting her down in a jokey way. When I talked to Angie about it later, she'd already forgotten the incident and hadn't really made much of it. She thought I was being too sensitive and said that Mel just gets carried away sometimes and had gone overboard in trying to make sure I was included in the conversation. I decided to leave it alone. Mel was Angie's friend, not mine. I only saw her 2 or 3 times a year, so should I really care? A mini version of hell loomed when Angie organised a trip to celebrate her 40th birthday. I knew that Mel would be there, but I also knew I'd have to suck that up and do my best. Angie was my best friend. How could I not be there? It'll be fine, I told myself. I'll just make sure there are enough people between me and Mel that I don't have to be on the receiving end of her condescending bullshit. Wasn't that easier said than done? There would be no escape. Even worse, she was there with her wife, a woman even more patronising and abrasive than Mel. They were 2 of a kind. They were walking through the swanky reception area as I checked in. I saw the look they exchanged before they walked over while I waited for my debit card to be scanned. Mel skipped saying hello and went straight to, "Your boyfriend couldn't come?" I suppressed my sigh. "No boyfriend." "Hi, Bex," I threw over her shoulder at her lanky, stylish wife. She continued poking, saying, "Oh, that's a shame." "Not really," I said. Then I turned back to the receptionist and ignored the two who it seemed were all set to needle me some more. Thankfully, I was wrong about that, and I heard them move away. They were gone by the time I headed to the lift with my wheelie. When I got to my room, which was fabulous, by the way, I booked a premium room with a large terrace overlooking the woodland garden. I went straight for the complimentary bottle of fizz and took it out onto the terrace. It was a balmy afternoon and I settled in on one of the rattan chairs. I sipped and planned how I was going to get through the weekend without going full Petra on their asses. 2 glasses in, I decided I'd continue to do what I'd always done and let Mel's and Bex's poison go over my head. I would be the bigger person. I would. I meant it. I did. I really did. But before we'd finished our second lot of cocktails, a couple of hours even before we'd head into the restaurant for our dinner reservation, I knew that I'd been in the being the better person stance. There were 9 of us in our group. 2 guys and 7 women, including me. We were having a lovely chat. It was one of those moments when a group comes together really well and the banter was actually quite joyful. You know what I mean? I was relaxed, pleased that Mel and Bex were being friendly and pleasant. The conversation veered into how fortunate we all are that we were able to come to a place like this and enjoy some of the things that Angela had planned for the next few days. The conversation split several ways when someone next to one of the guys asked him a question I didn't quite catch. That's when Mel went back to her old ways. She turned to me and said something about how she hoped that me joining in with Angie's celebrations wouldn't be too much of a financial stretch. All conversation paused, but Mel wasn't bothered. Instead, she doubled down. "It's like we've been saying, you know? How it's great being able to enjoy the weekend like this. Extending yourself into this weekend shows what a good friend you are." She turned to Angie, and when she opened her mouth to say something, paused, finally clocking the stunned silence around our circle. Even Bex was frowning. "What?" she asked. Then, "I'm just saying." Angie started to speak and I could see she was about to put Mel on blast, but I spoke over her. I kept my tone dry. "Well, thanks. I'm touched by your concern." There were a few mutters around the group, and then someone picked the conversation up again. Things settled down, but I had a plan. I would strike back in such a way that she'd cringe with embarrassment every time she sees me. So much so that she'd probably end up avoiding me forever. That'll be a result. There's a reason I'm very good at my job. I know how to lead a conversation. And when we finally took our seats for dinner, lead I did. I asked one of the guys about his trip to New Zealand. It was going to be first class all the way, wasn't it? He corrected me, as I knew he would. He said, "I took your advice and went business instead." "You were right," he added. "It was amazing. I didn't need to go the whole hog with first class." I saw Mel and Bex's double take. Before Mel's disbelieving, "What would you know about it?" "I did a big trip a few months back," I said, giving an offhand shrug. That prompted questions around the table, and the conversation progressed just as I anticipated. The questions and my answers drew out all the information about my recent trip. I oh so casually slipped in. Not having a mortgage leaves you with so many more choices, doesn't it? My dear friend Angie dealt the death blow when she said, "I still can't believe you finished paying for your Chelsea pad way before me." As Mel sat there, staring at me, eating shit, I did not hide my smirk. I could hear the wheels turning in her head. They were turning so fast, smoke was practically coming out of her nose as she put the pieces together. I could see her trying to get her head around the fact that to have paid for my Chelsea home, a 2-bed townhouse, to have travelled through New Zealand, Australia, New York, San Francisco, Japan, staying in 4-star, 5-star hotels, travelling business all the way. Pennies were dropping all over the place. She'd have realised by now that I could buy and sell her at least twice over. When a server topped up our glasses just before the main course was served, I suggested a toast. "To Angela," I said, "a true friend." Everyone joined in. My smirk turned to a grin when I lowered my glass to see Mel still staring at me in disbelief, probably revisiting and replaying all her snide and shade of the last however many years. Should have paid attention, bitch, I thought to myself as I tipped my glass in her direction.
You have just listened to Shame You Didn't See Me. The story was written by Ann Butler. Please like if you enjoyed listening and subscribe to receive notification of new episodes. Note that no portion of this production may be adapted or broadcast without written permission from a member of the Book Griffin team.